That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay guys, this is going to be a really fun video. Now, originally I wanted to go through and recap all the Dynasty trades that I've made in the Flock Patreon leagues over the past 2 weeks, which I promise you, there have been a ton. I cannot stop trading. We continue to go through and just make moves in all of those Flock Patreon leagues, and I think it's just because people are excited about the NFL draft coming up, so activity through the leagues are at like a sky-high level. But instead of going through all those trades, I'm going to split it into a few different videos, and in this video it's going to be exciting because I made one trade recently. I believe it was in the Flock 7. Don't kill me if I got this wrong. There are so many of them. But I traded away Derrick Henry, and then a couple days later in the Flock 6, right before I'm recording this, I end up trading for Derrick Henry in a different league. So let's talk about both these deals. Let's talk about the prices that I moved Derrick Henry for. But before we do so, go down there, guys, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And while you are in the comment section, I need you to let me know your opinion of these trades. And please, 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 guys, understand the league settings that these were done in. Now, this is something we talk about all the time on Patreon, how important your league settings are for adjusting player values. If you're talking about a running back versus a wide receiver, depth versus a star, it's going to be 100% up to your league settings. And in these league settings, they are both in the original Flock Patreon leagues. So they are best ball, and the starting lineup requirements are QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, super flex, and then 6 additional flex spots. So not only are they best ball, and we've already talked before about how best ball prioritizes you to make sure that you have as much depth as possible. And the best example I can give of this is saying, hey, who do you think would have more points to your overall lineup in between having Devontae Adams or having Terry McLaurin and DeAndre Hopkins? Now, most people would go probably Devontae Adams, and that's a traditional fantasy football league. And keep in mind, these are just examples. But in a best ball league, the 2 wide receivers absolutely dominate the other guy they're going up against because you don't have to decide when you're going to start them. They can randomly pop off and automatically they slide into your starting lineup. So please understand those league settings as we discuss these trades because it's going to be very important. Okay. So let's talk about a deal that I made about a week ago that I know y'all are going to hate. I sent it out on Twitter telling y'all I did it, and we had some people coming and telling me I'm stupid, which I am all for. I don't care about that. But we traded away Derrick Henry for Odell Beckham Jr. and Jerry Judy. Okay, so I understand, guys, that a lot of people are going to be down in the comment section saying, Mason, you could have gotten more. Mason, you could have gotten more for Derrick Henry. And I promise you guys, I've been trying to sell Derrick Henry all offseason. In this league in particular, I was a strong contender last year, so I overpaid for Derrick Henry halfway through the season, and now I am just selling at a massive loss. But that's sometimes what you have to do in Dynasty. Sometimes you have to go, my window is right now, let's go, let's pursue this title, and regardless of if you get the title or not, then you reassess in the Dynasty offseason and just try to maximize your value. So that's what we're doing here, moving away Derrick Henry for Odell Beckham Jr. and Jerry Judy. And I will say that because the league settings make it where you only need to start one running back and you have so many flex spots, I don't mind trading a running back straight up for wide receivers. If anything, I prefer it because we know wide receivers have a much longer shelf life in the NFL because there are only 32 starting running backs. There are very few running backs that are going to make a difference, and as soon as they take a step off, their contracts aren't guaranteed. The teams get rid of them. They bring in a new guy. But at the wide receiver position, we understand that so many teams now are running 3 wide receiver sets. So even if you see an Odell Beckham Jr. fall off as he gets into his age 28, 29, age 30 season, instead of being that field stretching wide receiver operating as the wide receiver 1 on the Cleveland Browns, maybe he transitions over to another NFL team and then he becomes their wide receiver 2 and he's a wide receiver 3 in fantasy. And in best ball, that is extremely valuable compared to a running back that may just entirely flame out of the NFL. And if you did not get the chance to watch my video in explaining why I think Derrick Henry is someone that you need to desperately be looking to sell in Dynasty right now, let me just give you some of the summary. This team lost weapons across their skill positional group and no Jonnu Smith and no Corey Davis. So we're going to be expecting that should take a hit to the overall offensive efficiency. But more so, what should take a hit to the offensive efficiency is the offensive coordinator change, where the coordinator then takes a job as the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. Don't kill me if I got that wrong, but going off the memory. And now we have a new guy coming in. He was the tight ends coach for the Tennessee Titans. And I think that what we've seen from the Titans over the past few years can be accredited a lot to their play calling, in that they look like pure outliers. You wouldn't expect a team with this type of personnel to see that type of offensive efficiency, yet they did. So the coaching change is going to be a little bit worrisome. What's going to be more worrisome, though, is the fact that Derrick Henry is 27 years old. Derrick Henry is older than Todd Gurley. Derrick Henry is right up there with a Le'Veon Bell in age. And I know that sounds crazy to talk about, and I know Derrick Henry has showed no signs of slowing down. But before we got David Johnson just completely crashing off of his major season that he had at 25, 26 years old, before we had Le'Veon Bell going through the holdout situation, I mean, these running backs were at the top of their game. These running backs were the top running backs in the entire NFL. And you're also looking at Derrick Henry's contract and going, you know what, this is a team-friendly deal. I mean, they really gave him no guaranteed money outside of 2021. So if you do see that David Johnson, that Le'Veon Bell, that Todd Gurley type fall off, which I'm not saying is guaranteed, it's just in the range of outcomes, and we need to accept that. Derrick Henry is then someone getting paid a whole lot of money, and not much is guaranteed. A 28-year-old running back. We've seen historically how running backs get treated in the league, and it's not great. Just like what I'm saying with why I'm saying you should buy Deshaun Watson at a massive discount right now, and that if you just look historically, the league takes care of the guys that are going to make them money, and they don't care about anybody else. It's the sad reality of the NFL. So if Derrick Henry sees that fall off in 2021, then in 2022, his dynasty value is going to completely plummet. It's going to be looking like the Melvin Gordon type situation going to Denver. And then you have to be really concerned. And on the other side of this trade, not only do you get two wide receivers that could pop off any given week given the best ball format, make your flex spots, and possibly together outproduce Derrick Henry in 2021 sporadically, but to go along with this, you have the long-term value in Jerry Judy. And Jerry Judy isn't a player that we've talked a ton about this offseason, but that's probably something we should be changing, because Jerry Judy looks like a great talent at the wide receiver position. And I know his situation is dire right now, having a projected Drew Lock as this team's starting quarterback. But now that we are seeing the Carolina Panthers have Sam Darnold at their QB spot, the Denver Broncos are really the only team in the NFL where we don't know what their quarterback's going to be. We know that they are looking for an upgrade. They could go to Jimmy Garoppolo. They could possibly get a Mac Jones in the NFL draft. We just simply do not know yet. And Jerry Judy, any quarterback that he sees outside of Drew Lock this upcoming year is most likely going to be an upgrade. And that's coming from someone who overdrafted Drew Lock last offseason in a multitude of leagues. To go along with this, Cortland Sutton is under his last year of his rookie contract this season, and we don't know if this team's going to bring him back. I mean, this is a team that in 2020 spent a first-round pick on Jerry Judy, and their next pick in the second round they spent on KJ Hamler. So we're uncertain of what this team's planning with Cortland Sutton. Jerry Judy, all we know is he has the talent. The situation can only get better. And Odell Beckham Jr., y'all have seen me trading for him a multitude of times in these Flock Patreon leagues. And it's because the best ball format was literally made for Odell. We've seen time and time again that, yeah, he's going to have some games where he goes out there and he gives you 4, 5, 6 fantasy points, and anybody who started him are just going to be raging. They're just going to be throwing their phone, coming in the live streams, talking about how bad Odell Beckham Jr. is. But then occasionally, he's going to have that 40-point week. He's going to occasionally have that 25-point week where in this best ball format, he's going to slide into our starting lineups. So this is a trade I probably would not have made if it was a standard Dynasty league. But given the format, I think that it looks like a loss at first. But if you really dive into it, and if you're talking about short-term production as well as long-term value, I think we prefer the Odell Beckham Jr. and Jerry Judy side. Okay, so now our next trade is going to be in a very similar format, the exact same format, just a different league. And here we traded for Derrick Henry. We traded Paris Campbell, the rookie pick 110, the rookie pick 210 for Derrick Henry, and I believe the 312, maybe the 311, but a late third. And I want to say here, to be completely honest, whenever we traded away that 110 is probably actually a little bit nicer, and that James Robinson is going to be included in this rookie draft, as he was not drafted last year, and this league does it a little bit different where you don't have waivers through the season. So that 110 is probably closer to 109. So essentially, we traded away the 109, Paris Campbell, the 210 for Derrick Henry, because the late third doesn't mean a whole lot. And this was a trade that I looked at for a second. I know a lot of people are going to come through and say, oh, Mason, you absolutely killed it. And I think at the end of the day, we probably won the deal. But it's very close for the reasons what we were saying with the other trade. Because if you're looking at that rookie pick 109, you're going, okay, let's map out how rookie drafts are going to go this offseason. So obviously, you're going to have the top 4 quarterbacks off the board by the time that rookie pick 109 is going to be there. You're going to have Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Trevor Lawrence in whatever order you're looking at. So you're already through 4 picks. Then you're also going to have the top 2 running backs in Najee Harris, Travis Etienne. You're also going to have Kyle Pitts. So then you're looking at going, okay, at the 109, we're going to have a shot at one of these players. Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Javonte Williams, and you could see maybe an outside wide receiver or maybe a Mac Jones sliding up if he indeed lands in San Francisco. So right now, it's hard to determine who exactly is going to be there at that 109 pick. But based on landing spots and based on you knowing that before you make that selection, I think that that pick is actually extremely undervalued in leagues right now, which is why I had a hard time trading it away. At the end of the day, we got Derrick Henry. I think that we have to chalk this up for a win. I promise you, though, I'm going to be looking to sell Derrick Henry. If you're playing in this league with me and you have any interest in Derrick Henry, I would sell him for a 5% profit on the trade I made. I am very willing to just move off of him right away. If not, maybe it's something that we look to do halfway through the year, because I know a lot of people have been trying to trade away Derrick Henry lately. I mean, that's why we got this deal. That's why we had to sell at a very low price in our first trade. And it's because people are starting to realize, hey, Derrick Henry is by far and away the oldest running back anywhere close to this value range. I mean, he is years and years and years older than Ezekiel Elliott, and everybody wants to come out here and says that Ezekiel Elliott has fallen off. And I think the reason for this is based on the fact that Derrick Henry wasn't that impact rookie that you had in that same Ezekiel Elliott class. Now, if y'all remember, Derrick Henry, drafted to the Tennessee Titans, split a backfield with DeMarco Murray for the first 2 years. And I know people want to come say, Mason, that means he has fresh legs. And oh my gosh, look up his workload in high school. Look up his workload at Alabama. I mean, Derrick Henry, a monstrous human, an outlier of all outliers. But the last thing you could say is that the man has super fresh legs, even if he ends up just getting less overall touches in his first 2 years compared to other running backs in this range. Still, it's going to be harder to trade Derrick Henry, so I think we may not flip him right away in this league. I think what we may be forced to do is go through, hold him until the season, and then once people are actually scoring points, that's when we could look to sell him for hopefully some rookie picks, hopefully a package, including the wide receiver that we won on the way back. Because, I mean, I hurt to trade away that rookie pick. I promise you that, especially when it's not on the clock, because it's always fun to draft those rookies. Okay, now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, go down there, drop that like. If you're watching this in the premiere right now and you're not dropping a like, what are you doing? I'm going to slap you through the screen. And leave a comment telling me how stupid I am with these trades. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the premiere tomorrow.